G'day everyone and welcome to episode number 21 of the Australian Rock Show. My name is Dennis Gray from the Rockin' and Rollin' Gray Brothers. Today is Monday, the 1st of June, 2015, when this show is being recorded. McCue is a gifted musician whom I first saw live on a suburban Melbourne stage back in winter of 1989, performing with the amazing all-girl outfit Girl Monstar. The two things which struck me that night were Anne's musical talent and the immense potential she had. Over the years, I have watched Anne mature as an artist and develop into one hell of a guitar player. She has produced a remarkable body of work, most recently with her 6th full-length album, Blue Sky Thinkin'. Anne landed back in Australia this week and is about to embark on a run of dates around the country. To coincide with the tour, I have dusted off and am re-airing an interview I did with Anne some time back. Tuesday, the 21st of September, 2010 to be exact. It's a fairly detailed interview which I'm confident many of Anne's admirers will find interesting. A chat which we'll play in a moment, but let's get in the mood with some classic Anne McCue. From her 2010 album Broken Promised Land, let's hear Don't Go to Texas Without Me. It is our great pleasure to talk to Anne McCue.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, you currently call Nashville home. What is day-to-day life like for Anne McCue in Nashville?
It's, waking up sometime mid-morning and getting out of bed and then have a little breakfast and I'm sort of running my own record company in a way, so I do a lot of emailing and stuff like that.
One of my questions is you mentioned on one of your blog posts a while ago about you had some kind of a health issue which you put down to stress associated with doing it all yourself, running a small label, booking shows, etc., etc. How has that panned out in the last, since you wrote that post?
All I needed was just a few days off, and because when you're self-employed, you don't really get a vacation. So I don't think I've had a vacation for about 10 years. I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
Well, you are a very busy and prolific artist, I must say, but you just completed a 5-week US tour. How did that go?
That was great. I went from Delaware right up to Cape Cod in Massachusetts and Boston, and everywhere in between, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Philly, and Virginia and D.C. and all those different states up there, and it was fantastic. I had a really great time.
This is probably a tough question, but where would you say your strongest fan base is within the US?
In the US.
Can you name a particular city?
Well, there's a few cities. I would say, there's Texas for a start is good, in general, the state of Texas. But then Seattle is good, and Los Angeles, and New York's pretty good. And in the New Jersey, Philly area, Pennsylvania, I guess. And I don't know. It really depends on, what's going on when, and if you're getting some radio airplay in a town, a few years ago, I was getting played down in Tampa Bay, so I had a good crowd down there.
Okay.
But I haven't been back since, so I don't know if they will still come out or not.
From a fan's perspective, it was obvious from watching you perform with your late 80s outfit, Girl Monstar, that you had immense talent, and it's no surprise to me that you've gone on to achieve the success which you've had. Was there a point when you yourself realised that you possessed a special talent, something you could make your mark with?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think I started playing music more out of a need than that I had a talent. I don't know if I had a lot of raw talent to begin with. I mean, I had the urge to play, and I lived out in Campbelltown. I grew up out there, which is west of Sydney, and it was a bit, it was a town in a state of transition, so the cultural aspects hadn't caught up with the growth of the town, so there was just this population with nothing to do. There wasn't even a cinema the only organised fun we had was roller skating, and the rest of it was up to us. So apart from skateboarding and swimming, I just would play the guitar. There wasn't a lot to do in that town, really. So I sort of was drawn to guitar because there wasn't much else to do, and I thought, when you're a teenager, you have that angst and loneliness and that sort of, what's the meaning of life, and
Sure.
Why am I here, and do I want to keep living, and all those things came up, and guitar was my saviour. It was my friend through no matter what. It was an unconditional ally that I had. So it was just something I did when if I could go into my bedroom and just play guitar for a while, I'd feel better about everything. So, yeah, I sort of started with that, in that way.
Your first band, was it just a three-piece known as Vertigo?
Yeah, it was just one summer, and I'd been to, I think it was at the end of my first year of university, and I went back home for 6 weeks over the summer and formed a band with my best friend, Karen Dorset. She played the bass, and this girl called Alison played the drums, and we just put it together for fun. It was a garage band, and it was really great fun. I loved it. It was so exciting, and we played one show at a party.
Really, I didn't know you performed.
Yeah, we did. We were so shy that we played in someone's bedroom and put the amps out the window.
That's great.
Towards the pool so that people could hear it, but we didn't want them to look at us. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm assuming there were no demos or anything recorded, just a bit of fun.
No, I probably recorded it on my little cassette machine, but who knows where those cassettes are. That'd be funny to hear those back.
And then, of course, you spent 4 years with the Melbourne outfit Girl Monstar, and I've asked you this at least once, maybe twice before, but for new listeners out there, Anne was with an all-girl band from Melbourne who had quite a bit of success looking back. I'd like to know what your favourite memories are of your time with Girl Monstar.
Well, it was certainly just the whole idea of actually finally being in a proper band was really thrilling to me, and just recording and playing, but I think the shows we did, like with the Divinals and the Ramones, and what were some of the other bands we played with?
Disneyland After Dark, Buzzcocks.
Buzzcocks, yeah.
Rat Cat.
Well, Rat Cat, I really loved that. Their songs were so, as soon as I heard that guy's songs, I was like, that should be a big hit. I just thought, wow. They actually opened for us, and we opened for them, and then they were huge. Just for one song, though. But still,
What do you think you took away from your time with Girl Monstar? And I'm talking really about lessons learnt.
I got more used to being on stage in front of people, which was hard for me. I was very shy, and it was very hard for me for years to play live on stage because I had so much stage fright. But over the years, I got kind of used to it.
You've definitely overcome that.
Yeah, mostly. I rarely get that now. But, I've been playing for 20 years, so you would hope you get used to it.
Sure.
Yeah, I love playing now. But I don't really know. I guess Sherry and Sue and Damien actually had all been in bands before, so I was the real newbie and junior partner in lots of ways because I hadn't been in a band, and I was pretty naive, very naive and introverted, I would say. They were very confident, and Sherry was by that stage already, a pretty well-developed songwriter, so I learnt a lot from that because I had written songs before, but they weren't necessarily very structured, I was more into bands like Einstürzen and Neubauten and Nick Cave and the Birthday Party, and Sherry and them were into these real pop rock kind of bands, and it helped me get more structure in my songwriting.
So she pretty much encouraged you to sing?
Yeah, well, she wanted me to sing backing vocals. Well, she asked me if I could sing backing vocals, and I said no, I don't sing. And she said, well, can you try? And I said, yeah, I'll try. And I tried, and she said, that sounds good, so just keep doing it. So I did.
Well, the very first release, which Anne McCue wrote and also sung lead vocals on, was a Girl Monstar live favourite called Egomaniac. This was a B-side to the band's chart-topping second single called Joe Cool. Now, I realise it is 20 years back, but what are your memories of the track Egomaniac?
Well, I wrote it about my boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
And, he loved it. He used to play it for people, he'd say, "Oh, she wrote this about me, listen to it, Egomaniac." And it was, as you can tell, a tribute to the Beatles, early sort of mid-range era where they had all those singles that weren't on any albums, and they were all guitar riff-based stuff. But it was, I think it was one of the first songs I sang, definitely, ever. And it was, I don't know, it was exciting to have a song on my record.
It still stands up, that song. Going back to 1990, let's hear Egomaniac. And McCue on lead vocals there with the Girl Monstar tune Egomaniac, produced incidentally by Kevin Caveman Shirley, who has since gone on to work with some of the biggest names in rock, such as Aerosmith, Kiss, Iron Maiden, Slayer, and even Led Zeppelin. Now, sometime after the Girl Monstar split, you took up an offer to perform in Vietnam. Looking back on your career, how important do you think that move was?
It was very good for me because I was almost drowning in Melbourne by that stage. I was sinking into the abyss. After Girl Monstar, I didn't really know. I had to start again, make all new friends. It was like going through a divorce, and so I had to start singing more seriously because I had no one else to. I had to be the band. I didn't have a band, so I had to start playing by myself, playing solo, which was really, really hard for me. I mean, I would be nervous for days before a show like that. And so when I was invited to go to, it was Jeff Atchison was invited to go, and I used to go to his blues jam every Monday night, and he couldn't go, and he asked me to go in his place, and I was like, well, yes, I'll go, because I had nothing going on in Melbourne. I was just, as far as my music career was going, I was going to the blues jams, which was fun, but also it was a bit, drinking on the weekends type. It was a bit of oblivion in some ways.
But whilst playing in Vietnam, you met drummer Simon Dorr and bassist Jeff Kane, both of whom would appear on your debut EP from 1996 called Laughing. 5 of the tracks from the Laughing EP would end up on the Amazing Ordinary Things album. Were they edited in any way, or are those songs as is?
I feel like we did go back and do something. I think they were remixed, just to fit with the rest of the album. They were remixed, yeah.
Now, Girl Monstar wasn't the only girl band you were a member of. You joined the three-piece Eden AKA, a project which never really got off the ground, did it?
Well, it in a funny way it did, because it started in Melbourne. We got signed to an American label. They brought us over here, and I've been here ever since, a lot. Like, I've played here a lot since. So, and it opened up my whole personal music career. I don't like calling it a career, my musical life as a solo artist, really. This is where I've lived that out. So I got to play on Lilith Fair, the same festival as the Pretenders, Sarah McLachlan, and all those artists that played on Lilith Fair those years ago. We got to tour around. I got to live in Los Angeles. So in a sense, the record never came out, but it really freed me up in lots of ways. And
that allowed you to focus on writing songs for your Amazing Ordinary Things album. Am I correct in that?
Well, yeah, we came over to LA. It happened to Frente too. They sign all these bands and they bring them over to LA, and you just sit there for 2 years and wait for the record to come out. And they try and get you to write crappy songs with hit songwriters, and after 2 years, I got to the point where I felt I'd compromised all that I possibly could, and it was just one song that the main girl came back with, this one song that she'd co-written, and I said, I can't play that. And she said, well, we can replace you, and I said, okay. I got to the point where just down to this one song. I was like, I can't go any further with this. Your album from 2004, Roll, was the one that broke through for you and had the critics in a spin. Is that your biggest selling album to date, and do you know how many copies have been sold? It is definitely my biggest selling album to date, but I don't know how many I've sold. I just know that I've probably sold more of that than the others. Okay. Together, I'd say. I don't really know. I'd have to ask the guy at the record label, but I'm not very good at keeping track of anything or being organised in any way.
You just keep on creating the fine music and let somebody else count them.
Well, yeah, and I don't really want to know, and I don't care. And I mean, if I sold 1 million records, can you imagine my joy? But I haven't, and so I don't want to dwell on it.
Roll and the next album, Koala Motel, were both released on Messenger Records from New York City. How did they become interested in you?
They saw me open for Lucinda Williams, I think.
Okay.
I'm not really sure, but anyway, I remember he was there at the Wiltern in Los Angeles when I played, and so yeah, he had 2 other artists. He had Chris Whitley and Dan Byrne on his label, and so he that became that was my first album with him, Roll.
For a time, you were managed by Mike Gormley, who had quite a rock and roll history himself, having worked with the New York Dolls, Rush, the Runaways, Peter Frampton, Styx, and many others. And I think he managed the Bangles in the 80s as well.
Yeah.
I would say that having somewhat of an industry heavyweight like Mike as a manager was a pretty good thing for your career.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was good. That's the only manager I'd ever had. I'd never had a manager before that, really, so it was good. Firstly, he's a fantastic person, and just having someone like that in your life is, especially he's in the music business, you know, he was, to tell you the truth, I came over here and I met the people I met in the music business. They were all kind of sleazy and untrustworthy, and he was the first person I met that wasn't like that, and so that was a breath of fresh air. But you know, the music business was changing at that point, and we are now seeing the effects of it. But it's always been hard to get a record deal, I suppose.
Sure.
And it's gotten harder. It's almost like not even worth considering at the moment.
Your most recent album, the title, Broken Promised Land, what does that title mean?
It's a song about and if you look at it literally, a song about a relationship that is full of broken promises and hasn't come to fruition, full of frustration. And but I think in the larger picture, you can look at the American dream really and say that's kind of, I think the American dream has gone in lots of ways, and unfortunately, but I do think a lot of that is attitude, and I think the American dream was one of equality and opportunity for all, and that's what's gone. It's not the actual opportunity that's gone. I think a lot of it is just purely media-induced apathy, complacency, and selfishness.
Your songwriting covers politics, relationships, heartache, current world events. I remember you wrote about the Iraq War. Do you just write what you feel, or if you feel strongly about something?
Well, I tend to feel strongly about stuff, and I hold back on it because I don't really think it is my place to constantly have a political opinion, because firstly, it's really boring, and secondly, it is just an opinion. So I do edit my political opinions a lot, and
okay.
I would be a lot more political but I sort of like, well, who am I? And everyone's political opinion is based on their own experience, and that's why there's so few rich people who actually care about world poverty, because it's not in their world. They don't come across it. They don't know what it's like not to be able to afford to pay your mortgage, and so they're more interested in keeping the status quo the way it is just because of their experience.
Well, I read that John Lennon used to have a little notebook on his bedside table so that he could scribble any lyrics down quickly. How does Anne McCue go about the writing process?
Well, unfortunately, she writes down on little pieces of paper and loses them.
Okay.
Mostly. And as far as writing the music, it tends to happen every time I pick up a guitar, and I don't pick up my guitar as much as you would think I should, or as much as I think I should. So I tend to not. I only write when I'm about to record an album.
Okay.
And so I tend to make up the music and then I write the lyrics for it, unless I've got some lyric that I like.
I've got some general questions for you. Please bear with me, as there's no real structure to these. It's just some things which I've been curious about and which I jotted down. So The back of the Koala Motel booklet has a black and white photograph of a young girl. Is that you or your mother?
That's my mother.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm.
You've penned some remarkable songs over the years, and I'm just going to name a few. Arcane, Desert in the Rain, Laughing, I Want You Back, Stupid, Tiny Little Song, Roll, Ballad of an Outlaw Woman, Driving Down Alvarado, Bakersfield to Saigon, Hellfire Razor, Lay Me Down, Too Late for Love, Money in the Morning, Do It the Right Way, Don't Go to Texas Without Me. When you list all those tracks in one gathering, I mean, wow, there is a greatest hits album just there, isn't there?
Well, I don't know if you could call it greatest hits, greatest misses.
Are you including the Rose Tattoo cover, Rock and Roll Outlaw, in your live set still?
Yeah, I love playing that. I get to play my slide all the way through, and I just like that kind of biker rock. I don't know why, I just really like it.
Well, maybe when you tour Australia in November, we can try and get Angry to jam with you on that song. That would be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
How did you get Bones Hillman from Midnight Oil to play on the new album?
Well, he moved to Nashville, I think a couple of years ago, and I just met him somehow. I'm not sure, can't remember how I met him, but he's become a friend, and he's a great bass player. He's really got his own thing, you know. No one does what he does, and of course he's from Midnight Oil, which is one of the great rock bands of all time.
Sure.
So,
Now, I got a tough one for you here. If you could jump in a time machine, which artist or band would you like to see most?
Dave Gilmour in Pink Floyd. Probably, well, that's one. He'd be like the rock star of the 60s, 70s at that time, you know, 1972 or something, that I would have liked to have met. But then I'd like to go right back and meet Django Reinhardt and Robert Johnson, maybe Robert Johnson too.
Hendrix?
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix. That'd be awesome.
If I invent a time machine, I'll let you know.
Okay.
How important has it been to have an encouraging brother who's also a fine musician in his own right?
Oh, yeah, his opinion I value very highly, and we've written songs together. I mean, he's like a musical genius as far as in many ways, and he just hasn't pursued it full time, you know. But I think maybe producing, or I don't know. He was asked to be in that band, Matt Finish.
Okay, I didn't know that. Mark was briefly in the Trilobites, wasn't he?
Well, that was his band, the Trilobites. They were the first Trilobites. And then they split up, and another band came along. But I think he should have said yes to Matt Finish, and I think his career would have been underway, because he's very gifted at bass guitar, a great singer and a great guitar player, and nothing would have really stopped him. But I think he suffered the same thing as me. He was just too shy, maybe.
Sure. I'm just going to drift here to 2007. You toured Australia as part of Deborah Conway's Broad Festival. Good memories?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great, you know, because I've been playing for a long time, and getting to play at the Sydney Opera House and the Queensland Performance Arts Centre and the Athenaeum. It's like, you know, it's like a dream really to me, and so I just thought it was fantastic.
And you were playing pretty much to whole sets of brand new ears as well. Yeah,
definitely. It was great to get to play to so many people, and I loved playing guitar in that band. And James Black was in the band, and Deborah Conway was great, and everyone in the band. It was really good for me, you know.
From Alaska, you've played Dublin to Spain, Vietnam, Germany, the UK. Really, you've played in some amazing locations. Do any particular places stand out, and why?
Alaska's pretty amazing just because it's so beautiful and cold. It was minus 40 degrees
wow.
when I was there. And you walk outside and you walk straight back inside and you go, I can't do it. But then Spain, Bilbao, Spain is quite the place. It's so beautiful, and I've played there a couple of times at the concert hall there, and it's just so classy. What a classy place. It's great coffee, great food and culture, and it's just awesome. I love playing in America because I've been here a lot for 12 years really, playing around, and I still haven't been everywhere, you know. It's so
sure.
big and so many towns and cities. It's amazing. I just love playing to a good crowd of people who are enjoying the music, so I don't really care where it is so much.
Looking back, I'd say meeting Dusty Wakeman and Lucinda Williams. Those two people have both played a vital role in furthering your career. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. Especially Lucinda Williams, because she kind of got me out of the gutter, so to speak, and put me on the sidewalk. And I've sort of gone along with a little momentum ever since, and so that's been great. And then Dusty he's just a great guy and fun guy. He steered my music in more of a in some aspects. Well, I sort of chose him in a way to do that Americana thing with roll. And the first song I had was I Want You Back, and I called him up. I said, I've got this song that I reckon, because I thought that it would suit his production technique. And so that was how we started. And then
he's a great bass player, isn't he? Really is top shelf.
He really is. He's amazingly good.
Now, Broken Promised Land features Ken Kuma from Wilco on drums. So without being geeky, there is a Girl Monstar connection there, because Ken also played on Sherry Rich's CD from 1997. How did you meet up with Ken Kuma?
I think it was through my manager here at the time. They were friends, so I just met him, and I asked him to play with me a few times, and he wasn't available. And then I just thought he'd be good for the album. I wanted someone moody, mature and moody, and he really came up with the goods, as they say. He really, he's a poetic kind of a drummer.
Okay.
He's not really a technically incredible drummer, which I don't like really technically incredible music. It just doesn't really thrill me. So, but he's really atmospheric.
It's great that a label from your hometown is releasing your new album.
Especially Stuart Coupe, because I don't know. I don't know where you were when Double J was around, but Stuart Coupe used to go on there and talk about stuff, and he was one of our favourite guys on Double J when we were kids, and he's been around the music scene for a lot longer than I have, and he's just a really cool guy, music lover. So it's pretty thrilling to me to be associated with Stuart Coupe.
The video clip for Don't Go to Texas Without Me, where was that filmed? That is a brilliant video clip, by the way. I think it's not my favourite video. If I can be picky, I think Desert in the Rain, which is stunning. It's not black and white, but it's the impact of that video is. I actually saw that in Japan on TV, Desert in the Rain. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll start with that first question. Where was the Don't Go to Texas filmed?
In Nashville here, at this old abandoned building down near the river.
Okay. And was the whole theme of the video your idea?
Not at all. Brian Gaskell approached me, I think, about doing the video. He's an actor. He was in Melrose Place or Models Inc. or something.
Okay.
And he lived in Nashville for a short time, and he wanted to do the video, and I said, great, because I've always done my own videos. I mean, not always, but I've done a lot of the no-budget videos that are on YouTube, and it was a relief for me to have someone else doing the camera and coming up with the story. He came up with that whole story, and that's his wife, Tonya Watts, is in it, and she's an actress as well. And she's a great southern rock musician. Anyway, so he came up with it all. I just had to be in it. It was great.
It's great. It looks very effective. Do you enjoy shooting music videos?
I love it. I just shot a video. I shot a video yesterday for Tracy Bunn. She's from Darwin, and she's here in town. I produced her record last year, and it's coming out in Australia on Laughing Outlaw soon.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you, I'm going to ask you about Tracy Bunn and Jess Leary, how you came to meet, perform and produce both those girls.
Well, I met Tracy. I went out to play at the Darwin Festival, and I did this songwriter talk thing, and Tracy was there, and then she came up at the end and said, I'm Tracy, and she was in the Toe-Sucking Cowgirls, and she gave me a CD and said, would I like to produce her record? And I said, I'll have a listen, and then I said, yes, I would. And Jess is someone I met here in town. She's a hit songwriter. She's written hit songs, country songs. But she's a great musician. She plays banjo, mandolin, guitar, sings, everything.
Well, you've actually picked up quite a few instruments from when I knew you 20 years back. What do you think is the most difficult instrument to play, which you have learnt aside from your guitar?
Well, ukulele.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't play it. I only play it once a year, and I can't
Okay.
remember the tuning and the chords. No, I think if I was to play, I think the violin is the hardest instrument to make sound good. In the world, I think that really sounds bad. If it sounds bad, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think that would be, and I have been considered. I did take up the violin before I was in Girl Monstar, and then I can't remember what happened.
No, I didn't know that.
I'm thinking of taking it up again. I'm in the town of Fiddlers. I want to have one more.
Lastly, this is our last question, Anne. What advice would you give to any aspiring young girl guitar players out there?
Well, the first thing is practice, which I need to do a lot more of myself. But I used to practice because I was in a band, so I had to learn pretty quick. And the more you practice, the more confident you'll be. If you want to get a teacher, you can, but make sure you concentrate on listening. I think listening is really important. Learning to listen to songs and other musicians is really key. People underrate that with music. They think it's all about making a noise, but to me it's all about listening and then making some kind of a sound that suits what you're hearing. But I think now there's not that girls don't play the guitar attitude that there was when I was young. So I don't think young girls have that problem. I was discouraged by just about everybody. Even I went and got a guitar teacher, and he was like, girls don't play. There's no such thing as a good girl guitar player. And, but I kept going. But if I hadn't had so much resistance, I might have sort of been a lot more confident about it, So I don't listen, just associate with people who are positive in general about you and your life and your choices. That's what I would say.
Great advice there to any young guitar player out there.
Yeah.
Anne, thank you for your time today. It's always great to talk to you, and I wish to close the interview by saying your music is very special to many people, including myself. It provides us with much happiness, and I hope that you continue to create McCue music for many years to come.
Thanks a lot, Dennis. It's good to talk to you.